this is a guide about positioning. It's not going to be a guide about which summoners and which combos to do. I'm literally just going to teach the beginners how to play this game. And we're going to just focus on these rows right here. So your position 1, your position 2, all the way to position 6, and why that matters, and who attacks and goes where. For this journey, we have to cover melee units first, because melee units are normally what's going to be your position 1. Normally you'd want to put a tank, so you wouldn't want to put something like a flame monkey, you'd rather put something like a living lava that has like a shield. But in general, melee units can only attack from position 1. So they're basically a swordsman, they have to be in position 1 to attack. So if you were to put all 6 positions with 6 living lavas, only the one in the front can attack. However, there are additional abilities that help melee minions attack from different positions. So a good example is the ability Reach, and Reach is basically a spearman, where now if you have Reach, the position 2 unit can attack. So therefore what you could do is you could have position 1 and position 2 be melee units. Then there's the third type of melee unit, which is basically an assassin. So there's one that basically has sneak, and what sneak enables is that it doesn't matter where the melee minion's positioned, from position 2 to 6, as long as it's not position 1, because if it's in position 1 it has to attack the enemy position 1. But it doesn't matter if it's any position from 2 to 6, it will always attack the enemy's position 6. And that's just like a sneaky little assassin. Then what they've done is they've made an advanced assassin, which has the ability Opportunity. And Opportunity melee monsters basically only attack the enemy minion that has the lowest HP. It doesn't matter if it's position 1 or all the way to position 6. It always just attacks the one that has the lowest HP. Okay, so then after speaking about melee minions, we're now going to cover magic. The thing to know about magic is that magic can attack from position 1. So your wizards can basically, if your tank dies, your wizard can step into position 1 and they can still attack. The last unit is basically the archer unit, which is represented with the archer's logo. And archer units tend to stay from position 4, 5, 6. You can put more in depending on if you run a Jotun basically, or other types of strategies. But in general, most of the archer units you want to play, you'll keep them back, because if an archer unit gets to position 1, they no longer can attack, and that kind of makes sense, because if you're in point blank range against somebody that has a sword, as an archer you can't really pull back your bow quick enough. So now that you know that there's 3 types of melee minions, and then there's magic minions as well as archer minions, I'm going to just give you a basic setup. So depending on what summoner you'd pick, depends on the strategy, because some summoners lean more towards magic, some lean more towards archers, some lean more towards melee minions. So your strategy does change. But in general, if you ignore your summoners, you kind of want to have a team of 1 tank melee minion in the front, followed by a minion with a reach, or a minion that has an assassin. Or because assassins are more squishy, you might want to go melee, magic, assassin, magic, archer, archer. But to keep things simple, you might want to just stick to melee, melee, magic, magic, range, range. So that's like a basic format. So now that we've understood that the basic concept might be something like melee, melee, magic, magic, range, range, and then depending on how your team is built or what summoner you use. For example, with water you might want to go melee and then 5 magic, or you might want to go melee, 4 magic, 1 archer type thing. And that's okay. It doesn't, you never have to just go melee, melee, magic, magic, range, range. Like when I play Jotun, I typically go melee, melee, and then 4 archers. But then there are some certain rule sets that change how positioning works. So a good example is Super Sneak, where all monsters get sneak. And if all monsters get sneak, you can just put in all of your best melee monsters. And it doesn't have to be ones that already have sneak, because they all get sneak. So you could put in your goblin mech, your living lava, and you can just stack a massive team. and then that's how you play it. But also, when these type of game modes come out, cards like War Chang step up to the plate, because like whenever there's super sneak or opportunity, I will always play War Chang, because you put him in the back so that he does his 1 damage because he's an archer, and then because he's got sneak, he's now allowed to use his 2 damage to attack, and then anyone that super sneaks attacks him, he can retaliate as well, and he's just a beefy tank. So these are the type of cards that you go, oh, I see super sneak, let me try and play a War Chang. Like, it does help. Other game modes that would interfere with the plan would be something like Melee Mayhem, where melee monsters now are allowed to attack from any position. Once again, you'd want to play your War Chang, keep him in the back because he's still an archer, but you just let him have fun with it. But then you can also play your Living Lava, your Goblin Mech, but they'll still just attack position 1, but from any position. And the next type of game mode that would interfere is something like Fog of War. And Fog of War basically removes, for archers, it removes snipe. And for the bad assassins, it removes sneak, but it doesn't remove opportunity. So when you play Fog of War, please just remember, don't play any sneak minions, because then the sneak minions lose their sneak, and they basically act as position 1 melee minions. And if you put your assassin in position 3, it's a waste of a card, it's a waste of mana, and typically your team will lose. The next type of battle that's actually really fun is something called Keep Your Distance. And Keep Your Distance is no melee minions at all. So a typical good strategy for that is some people have like a Lord or a Cube or a Sleeping Giant, so they might put a big tank in the front. But that has no melee damage, so it's just a wall, and then you follow that up with some magic and then some archers, obviously. If you don't have a big wall, there are lots of minions that have the ability of wall, such as the new Lobster, as well as like an Alder. After Keep Your Distance, the next thing would be something like Up Close and Personal, which is melee minions can only be used. However, it's not the same as Melee Mayhem, where melee monsters can attack from any position. So it's still the same, melee monsters only, however they can only attack from position 1. So in that type of example, what you want to do is you want to put in your tank in the front, your monster with reach in second, you want to put in 2 to 3 assassins, and then at the back you kind of want to put in something like a War Chang. So he'll do his 1 archer damage. He won't be able to attack because he doesn't have sneak or opportunity, but if anyone were to sneak and attack him, he could then retaliate as well. So that's like a typical plan for Up Close and Personal. And yeah, and then I think just the last thing to mention is that there's a game mode called Back to Basics, where all monsters lose their abilities. There's an ability called Close Range, where it actually allows archers to attack from position 1. That gets gone as well. So when you play Back to Basics, never play any assassins. It's always a bad idea. You basically just want to play your tank, and then maybe 3 magic, and then 2 archers, or a tank, 2 magic, 3 archers, depending on how good your splinter is. Yeah, and I think that's just a good guide to basic positioning. Let me know what you guys think. Cheers. So please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you want me to do next. And if you're a new player, please use the promo code and I'll happily send you the $0.5 back to you. It just lets me know that people are watching and using the promo, and I'm helping new players join the community. Also, if you find me on the Discord, just pop me a message. I'll happily delegate any of the new players some power